Hey, it's Caressa.
Hey, it's Maddie.
You're not watching the Disney Channel right now.
You're listening to
Dreadfully Twisted. Hello.
Hey, everybody. I didn't know what to say for a second.
That's why I just went hello, because I was just like, I was going to say hi. We are back.
Back again.
So part 2 is right here. So we just talked about SK Confessions, which was his progression to becoming a serial killer. But it is, right now, we're going to take this as a story, because that's what Mark claims it to be later. So the story is about how the author had an ability to feel anything. It had made him an expert at deception, and that by age 30, he was fantasizing about being a serial killer who would get away with murder, but also profited financially from the crimes. Then it continued that initially he wanted to have married men be victims, ones who were seeking like affairs and everything, because he would be, quote, be taking out the trash and giving justice to those that wanted it, end quote. And that they would deserve what they got. Which doesn't make sense, but whatever. But then after thinking about it and seeing risks in that, he decided to go after single men in their 30s who were looking for love, because he thought they would be easily lured, and also because they would have income, and because they would normally live alone and their disappearances wouldn't be seen immediately. He's awful. Just saying. Then it goes into how the author planned and researched each step. So first, wanted the murder weapon to be simple, elegant, and chose a hunting knife with an 8-inch blade from a military store, and a hunter's game processing kit that had tools to kill large animals, which would give a way to dismember bodies. In this, it also said of the perfect location to do this, at which, quote, a double detached garage for rent in the south of the city in the quiet neighborhood on a lot with the house occupied by tenants who couldn't read or speak English, end quote. Which was exactly like Mark did.
Mm-hmm.
Then the author made online dating profiles to lure victims, and first downloading an IP blocker so it couldn't be traced back to him. Then it even said that he would carry out the murders on Fridays when he was supposed to be at his psychiatrist appointment, and the weekend would give him time to clean up, and that he would double check that the victims' disappearances weren't noticed over the weekend. Just a note here. I'm going to break out of this quote-unquote story. Mark was actually supposed to see a psychiatrist on Friday nights because him and his wife were having issues, and she told him, and I'll go into this later, but she told him that he had to see a psychiatrist. So he promised he would go to the psychiatrist appointments on Fridays. So it's so funny because what I think, and I'll tell this after actually because I feel like I'm going to ruin it, but you could probably already guess. So back into the quote-unquote story. The first victim in the story that he lured the girl... Okay, well, wow. Okay, am I okay? Jeez. Okay, the first victim in the story that he would lure to the garage was after pretending to be an attractive woman on a dating site. Then his second victim, when preparations were still being made, which forced him to get him to leave... Actually, then later the man messaged the author again saying he was still interested in meeting, and the author is now ready to do so. So he invited him back over. Then the author received a call from his wife while he was finishing dismembering the victim. When asked where he was, he said he was at the gym, but she said the gym was closed already, and then he said he was at a different gym. Investigators realized that the name used in the oh gosh, in the story was actually rhyming with the name of Mark's wife. The name in the story was Tess. Mark's wife's name was Jess.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, make it any more obvious, would you?
Yeah.
And I'm also sorry, my handwriting is getting really bad in this, so I'm gonna have trouble reading this, so please just bear with me for a second, because I was writing really fast last night whenever I was finishing this up, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It might seem like I'm struggling, but I just can't read my handwriting. Then it ended with the author using the second victim's keys to get into his apartment, which was described exactly like how Johnny's apartment was found when his friends broke into it. He took cash from a dresser and had some other items like a printer and a laptop, just like Johnny's apartment.
Yeah.
And saw that the laptop was still logged into his email and social media accounts. Then in it he said, in quotes, I changed the auto response on his email to say he had decided to run away with a woman he hooked up with on Friday to go on a 2-month-long vacation to the Caribbeans, end quote. Really?
Wow.
After finding this written 45-page document on his computer, the police took the following for analysis. Several swords, a box, a stun baton, sale receipts for a butcher knife, handcuffs, air pistol with blue pellets, draft designs for a metal chair and table, and several other items. They did a search of the basement. They found a black hockey mask with the 3 gold stripes that I talked about earlier, and a chin cutout that was by a pile of Mark's clothes. And his computer, the police also took those. It looked like bloodstains on a pair of jeans that he had. And a sweatshirt that he had also had bloodstains on it. There was also burned copies of the 2nd season of the show Dexter. Why would you burn?
Yeah.
Just buy it. Whatever. His wife Jess told police that Mark was having an affair with an ex, Tracy, who he met at college in 1997. When he met Tracy, he lied about his age, background, and convinced her to date him and helping her design her 3-inch Celtic cross tattoo that he said that the guy that sold him the car was had Celtic tattoo. You remember when I said that? But she ended the relationship after finding out he lied to her. But they ended up reconnecting in 2008, and when he told his wife he was at work, but really he was with Tracy. Jess thought he was working through it with the psychiatrist on Fridays. But then when she called him October 10th, he said he was at a gym that was already closed and said he was at the other gym whenever she said that it was closed. And that one actually stayed up open later. So just like the story, everything so far is lining up. So I think it's just a confession. We'll see, I guess. She didn't remember what time he got home that night and spent the next day with him. She noticed his mood was normal and actually relaxed. They started having issues in September, but Mark said he didn't think he could feel empathy, and Jess told a story about a woman who accidentally left her baby in the car, and which ended up in the baby dying. Jess felt empathy for the woman, and Jess was a mother, but Mark didn't, which upset her. And she said he needed to help through it with therapy. And this was an issue for him because his first marriage actually ended in divorce because of the same reason. They found a document on Twitchell's computer called Profile of a Psychopath. This guy, which was a self-evaluation of traits listed in the DSM-4, a manual that was used to help diagnose mental health disorders. In it, Mark said how he tried his hardest to deceive those around him, which also included telling people he was at work when he was really spending his time in cafes. Mark also falsified documents to obtain a mortgage, which was paid off with money investors gave him for his movies. He also described the psychological torture that he did on his wives. He made them think his unfaithfulness was in their heads, and one time Jess caught him on a dating website, and Mark said he was hired to write an article on it. And he set up so many fake email accounts on it, showing it was a job, and then hired someone to even pretend to be the editor for the article.
Oh my God.
All just to make her think she was going crazy.
Wow.
The screenplay for House of Cards was also on Mark's computer, and the police got a hold of it, which I went over at the beginning of the episode. How the screenplay ended was In quotes, "It's true when they say the best way to succeed is to write what you know," end quote. The actor Robert Barnsley, who played the killer on the House of Cards, said he had fun on set and enjoyed playing a serial killer. The person who played Roger was Honors Heward, and no, that says Chris. I don't know. His name was Chris Heward, and he said he felt uneasy because they used real weapons on set, plus a stun baton, knives, and a samurai sword. There was DNA taken from Johnny Altinger's house, like nail clippings and like fingerprints from cutlery. And when compared with the evidence found on the items that were Mark Twitchell's, they actually matched. On October 31st, 2008, Mark Twitchell was arrested and charged for first-degree murder on Johnny Altinger. Investigators believe that SK Confessions is the House of Cards movie script were actually Mark's admissions to guilt, but Mark could say that they were just fiction. Police needed to prove the evidence, and that were described in them that they actually occurred. The police went back to SK Confessions, and they thought the second victim was Johnny, so that meant Mark could have had a first victim. But this name and that was also mentioned in the Mills Woods police report on Friday, October 3rd. They suspected Mark could have other victims that haven't been identified yet. In SK Confessions, it stated how he waited for Frank while wearing his mask, which protected his identity but also would protect from blood splatter. And it talked in detail about the events. And his plan was to wait in the dark of the curtain and behind the curtain of the garage, and then shoot him with a stun baton. Then he would choke him, which would make him go unconscious, so he could tape him up on the table. But Frank managed to break free, and he was able to get a hold of a couple. They didn't help, but it did help him escape. Since this matched what the couple had said happened on October 3rd and witnessed the attack, shown that Frank was actually a real person. They went public with this story to find him. So, Jill Tetro, 33, was looking for love, and he joined the dating site Plenty of Fish. He came across a profile of Spiderwebs, who was also an attractive girl in her 30s, who was new to Edmonton. She wanted to meet people, so Jill's sent her a message, and she responded immediately. Said her name was Sheena. They played, oh my god, I am struggling. Okay, I am sorry. They planned a date, and they were going to meet on Friday, October 3rd for dinner and a movie. But Sheena only gave him directions and no address or phone number to come pick her up. She also cited safety reasons to why she wouldn't. Unlike Johnny, Jill's didn't tell anyone, so he went to her Mill Woods property after work, parked in front of the garage, and when he went to grab the handle, someone grabbed him from behind and struck his head with a blunt object. He thought he was being mugged, so he turned around to defend himself, but when the attacker was wearing a black hockey mask with gold markings, his attacker pressed the stun weapon against him, shocking him, and it had no impact. So Jill was able to push it away, and the man pulled out a gun and ordered Jill's to get down and put duct tape over his eyes. When he did, then he heard a sound of a belt buckle, so he fought back. He got up and took the duct tape off, grabbed the gun, and found it was fake. It was actually the plastic gun that,
Mm-hmm.
So Jill's fought back, and he slipped out of his jacket, freeing him, and rolled under the garage door and tried to run, but fell when the attacker grabbed his legs and dragged him back into the garage. When he let go to get under the door, Jill got up and went around the alley, going towards the walking path, where the couple walking their dog saw, but they ran because they were actually scared of him because he was running at them, which is a total normal thing to do.
Yeah.
But Jill also got to his car, but on the way home, he pulled over due to everything that happened and passed out. He woke up 15 minutes later, and he got home and tried to treat his wounds but went to sleep. When he woke up, he was going to save the messages between him and Sheena. Her profile was now deleted, and so were the messages that they were corresponding with. And the only evidence he had were the directions he copied and pasted into a document. He called his ex-wife and told her about what happened, and she told him to report it, and he said he would, but when he woke up the next day, he felt embarrassed and told himself it was just a botched mugging, and others who spoke to him saw his injuries, told him to tell police, but he wanted to move on, so he didn't report it. But then on November 2nd, Jills came across an article on Johnny's murder in Edmonton, in the Edmonton Journal, where it was said for the first victim to please come forward to police, and he felt like it was similar, so he went to the police station, and his story matched the attack on Frank that was described in SK Confessions. Like, word for word, it was, like, described the same. So Jills wrote a memoir, The One Who Got Away, later on, and I actually have screenshots about what he actually said about it, because he actually, like, it's just so whenever, like, Mark talked, like, not Mark, oh my god, Jills Tetro talked about it, he said that Sheena had written, "The garage door will be open for you. Don't worry about neighbors thinking you're a burglar." Then this is what he said. He said, quotes, "I was really just really bewildered. I didn't know what was going on," he said on a documentary. "That's when I looked back to see this man hovering behind me with a hockey mask. And in that instant, I knew there was no date." So it's just like, he knew, like, as soon as, like, it happened, that there wasn't actually a date and that he was set up. Which is sad, because, like, seriously. But
I know, that is sad.
Online dating is scary, man.
I know.
Even back in 2008.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, literally. It reminds me of the Tinder one that I did, the Sydney Loof case.
Yeah.
That really shivered me timbers.
Yeah.
It really did. That one, ugh, that made me never want to ever use Tinder, ever. Or any other dating site, ever.
It's just like, why be a terrible person? Just be a good person. Don't do this. Like, just looking for love, man.
I know.
God, okay. On November 5th, police got a series of chat logs from a woman, Renee, from Cleveland, Ohio. This is where you see Mark Twitchell is just freaking crazy. She was interacting with a Facebook account that had a profile picture of Dexter Morgan from the show Dexter. She was a fan of the show. She hoped that the profile belonged to the actor Michael C. Hall, who plays Dexter in the show. I'm sorry, but it's never gonna be. It's never going to be the actor, because they have the blue check mark. I know back in 2008 they probably didn't have that, but, like, you should know that the actor's not going to reach out to you.
That's like Keanu Reeves messaged my mom on Instagram.
Really? I'll have to hear about that.
Keanu Reeves. Quotes 3 times.
But she found out it was ran by a filmmaker named Mark. Their conversations grew more and more and creepy over time. Renee brought up that she had a fantasy of cutting up her ex's wife and drawing circles in her blood.
What?
That's a weird fantasy to have.
That's terrifying.
You shouldn't have those.
No, definitely not. Get your head checked, please.
Yeah. Mark responded with instructions on how to carry out the murder and to get away with it. He said to build a kill room lined with plastic like Dexter.
Oh my god.
Then lure the victim in. Again, this is so ridiculous. If you ever think that you should, like, carry out something that happened in a TV show, get help.
Yeah.
It's just a show. Like, I get it. Like, I'm very into supernatural, but I'm not into supernatural to the extent that I would do anything that happens in the show. Like, I know it's not real. So, like, just don't. Real life. Just be real life.
I don't see my best friend over here trying to summon some demons and put a salt circle around us every podcast episode, so.
Yeah, I don't do that. I mean, I joke about it, but I never actually would, like, put a salt circle down, because 1, that's messy.
Yeah.
2, you'll get ants. 3, my dogs and cats would eat it. And 4, I don't want to clean it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, I know it's not actually true. So, like, just realize real from fiction, please. All I'm saying. So, where was I? Okay, so he said to line the room with plastic, like Dexter, and then lure the victim in and stun her. Then he said to wrap the remains in duct tape, place them in extra-strength garbage bags, incinerate the body, pulverize the jawbone, remove the teeth and fingertips to help avoid IDing the victim.
Oh my god. What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? On October 5th, 2 days after the attack on Jill's, Mark told Renee that the stun baton wasn't effective and a sturdy pipe would work better. Then he also said what does that say? A hunter's game processing kit would have everything needed for the dismembering. On October 10th, before Johnny disappeared, Mark messaged her saying, quotes, "Sorry this is so short, but I'm judging. Wow. Okay. I'm not going to get together this time. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm a struggle bus. This week has been long. Okay, sorry. Quotes, "Sorry this is so short, but I'm juggling 6 things right now, and it's time to shift to 4 to 5 to 5. 4 days later, he said he made it to 2 Thanksgiving events and it had something else keeping him busy. But I'm concerned about telling anyone because of the implications, and justify it to say that I crossed the line on Friday and I liked it." On October 27th, or that was the last she heard from his whenever he said that. October 27th, through an email which said, oh no, wait, okay, hold on. I'm sorry. Okay, the last she heard from him was on October 27th through an email which said there was a missing persons investigation that was possibly a murder that was surrounding the garage he used, but also said police wouldn't find anything and told her not to ask for details. Police confirmed that Jill's was Frank. They were certain that Jim in the story was Johnny. With the SK confessions and with them believing and Jim in it was Johnny, after being beaten for hours, Johnny said he would give him money and wouldn't go to police, but Mark removed the hunting knife from the sheath and stabbed him multiple times before putting his body on the metal table. He dismembered him with the kit, which wasn't a fun event to him, but made it better by him singing and talking to himself. Psychopath.
Uni bid.
Okay. I'm not gonna that.
That's a little concerning.
That's very concerning.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Yeah.
But he's already too far gone at this point.
I think everything that he's ever done has been concerning.
Yeah. His whole life is concerning.
Yeah.
He wanted to get an incinerator, but they were too expensive, so he got the burn barrel and gas to burn his remains. Then he took it to his parents in North Edmonton and set it on fire in the yard there. And then the document ended after he realized he couldn't burn the body completely. Upon further searching, they found a computer of his and at his parents' house, and it had another file on it. And the story continued with talking about the sewer. So police and city workers dug up Mark's parents' property and searched the sewer system, but didn't find anything. 18 months went by with Mark in prison waiting for the trial. He drew pictures and writing stories to take up the time. Police almost giving up trying to find Johnny's remains. But then on June 3rd, 2010, homicide detectives were called to the remand center to meet Mark and his lawyer. Mark gave them a piece of paper that had a map, North Edmonton, and a location of Johnny Altinger's remains. It depicted an alleyway which was 1 block away from where police was searching the first time in November of 2008. So it just sucks. Like, if they just went 1 block away, they would have found it.
Yeah.
But it's hard because the area was so big.
Mm-hmm.
In the sewer grate, they saw 2 pieces of human remains under it. Half of the human bones were found, and they were confirmed to be Johnny Altinger. Mark Twitchell's trial began March 16, 2011. The prosecution said that Mark had lured strangers to his kill room where he attacked by using methods from Dexter Morgan from Dexter, who he was obsessed with. The SK Confessions document the main part of the prosecution case, with detectives going through the document line by line. Witnesses took the stand, including the couple who had seen Jill's. After their testimony, they actually went up to him and apologized. And he actually accepted the apology and he forgave them. The defense's main witness was Mark Twitchell himself. Really? You're gonna have the loony guy be his own freaking witness? The guy who can't,
oh my God,
see, fiction from the truth? You're gonna have him be... Okay, whatever. He only okay, and this, of course, he only became excited when discussing his movies, but otherwise he was short, precise, and not excited. He described the movie House of Cards as an ambitious project that he called a multi-format psychosis layering entertainment. He wanted it to be popular like the Blair Witch Project, which was marketed as genuine found footage. He said he wanted it to be a full feature. After its release, he was going to write a book from the perspective of the film's producer. He wanted the movie to be questioned if it was real or not, and that the book was started and called SK Confessions. Then he wanted it to be a part of social media where people would this gets even crazier. He wanted it to be a part of social media where people would create posts about being alleged victims, and that he used a picture of a woman on Plenty of Fish and found Jill's tetro, and that he would serve his purpose and then set up a time for him to come to set up a kill room to give an effect. He said he was going to fill him in on the plan, but last minute decided not to. Because he wanted it to genuinely scare him into thinking he was actually being attacked and was going to be murdered. He said he used the stun baton because he knew it wouldn't cause actual harm and that he was always going to let Jill's tetro go. Because when the movie and book would be released, that his experience would be so convincing that they would think it was real. He said he kept everything, the hockey mask, hoodie, jeans, in case Jill's did report it to police so Mark could come clean. Then he said he used the name Jen and set a date with his next target, Johnny Altinger. Mark arrived around 6 p.m. on October 10th, 2008, when Johnny arrived earlier. He arrived earlier than he thought, so he made up an excuse that Jen was stuck in traffic. Johnny left, and then he wondered if he should tell Johnny the plan over email or in person, and chose to invite him back, still pretending to be Jen. When Johnny came back, Mark told him the plan, and that he wasn't Jen, and tried to explain his idea of the psychosis layering entertainment. But Johnny was so upset that they got into an argument. Mark said as Johnny turned, he kicked him in the lower back and grabbed a pipe, trying to hit him with it, and that he wrestled the pipe from Johnny and hit him in the head. While they kept fighting, Mark grabbed a knife because he thought Johnny would break off, but instead rushed forward and Mark stabbed him in the chest. He said he panicked and used his film set to do things it wasn't designed to do. He agreed the dismembering, cremation, disposal of the body, along with the email and social media pages, happened as stated in SK Confession. But the feelings he described in it was opposite of how he actually felt doing it. The message to Renee on how he liked it was about an affair he was having with Tracy. So he was trying to say it was self-defense. And then he was trying to say, oh, it was just to scare them.
Yeah.
You're a liar. Just because you got caught for it, you're trying to say that now. Because you're a POS and we hate you and you're a bad person. And I just,
Yeah, exactly.
This makes me so mad. Mark's attorney said Johnny's death was self-defense and an accident, and that SK Confections. I'm thinking about food now, I guess. SK Confessions was fiction or a fictionalized version of real events. The prosecution stated Mark's life was built on fantasy and lies, and his testimony should be taken with a grain of salt. He lied to his wife, his girlfriend in 1997. He lied to his friends. He lied to Jill's and Johnny and police. Because remember, he lied to the police at the beginning. He said, I had nothing to do with it. So if you had something to do with it and you wanted to come clean, why wouldn't you just state that in the very beginning?
Yeah.
But you didn't. Whatever. The prosecution said that him recruiting strangers to scare them to make his movie and book believable was ridiculous. Just like the story of the $40 Mazda car deal.
Yeah, literally.
Then, April 12th, 2001, the jury found Mark Twitchell guilty of first-degree murder of Johnny Altinger. And I have his mother's impact statement, but I don't know if I can. I had it yesterday, but I couldn't find it earlier. So he showed no reaction as the verdict was read, though a gasp was heard in the courtroom from Johnny's mother. She said in her victim impact statement that she can't allow herself to think about the pain and horror her son must have endured. She wrote that she doesn't wish the death penalty on Twitchell, but that she wants him to reflect on what he did and die a slow death every day of his life. So that's just a little bit of her impact statement there. Twitchell was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 25 years. Mark tried to appeal his conviction because extensive media coverage ruined the opportunity of a fair trial, but it was abandoned in 2012. In May of 2013, Mark purchased. Okay, this is even crazier. In May 2013, Mark purchased a TV for his cell because he used it to catch up on Dexter because he missed the show while he was in prison.
Oh my god.
Seriously, dude? Well, maybe if you wanted to watch the show, you wouldn't actually have done this, so you can actually watch the show, but whatever. Then, the precaution Johnny took on the date with Jen had saved others, because if he did not tell his friends tell his friend Dale that, like, the directions and everything, and let him know something was strange was going on, then this probably wouldn't have happened, because then his friends wouldn't have broken into his apartment and then found everything. So he actually was able to, like, save other people. And then Michael C. Hall, the guy who plays Dexter, found out about this. He was asked about the impact of his show, Dexter, on pop culture, considering its connection with the convicted killer Mark Twitchell. And this is what he said in quotes. Quote, "I don't know. All I can say is that it's horrifying to entertain the notion that something you did inspired that. I immediately found myself saying, well, he should have found something else to inspire him, but I don't know. To be perfectly honest, it's a troubling thing to consider." Hall told Gamoshi he wouldn't stop making Dexter because someone had become fixated with the character in a negative way. He said, quote, "I try to tell myself that their fixation or fixative narrative would have done it one way or the other, but it seems that Dexter had something to do with it. It's horrifying." Twitchell's fondness for the show Dexter was well documented during his trial. So even Michael C. Hall even commented on the fact that it was wrong and everything, and it's just crazy that, like, it's insane that you got so inspired by a TV show that's not, like, I know I talk about Dexter and, like, I'm watching it right now, but it's because I'm watching it for the first time. Like, I've watched it whenever I was younger, but I only remember season 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching it for the first time just because I remember watching it when I was younger, and just because, like, it's a show that Jeremy and I are just watching right now because we don't have anything else to watch and we're just into it. Like, I'm not like, oh my god, it's, like, amazing. It's just, like, it's a show. It's just a show.
Yeah, literally.
So don't get, like I said before, don't get so caught up in a show that it's gonna be like, I don't know.
Don't be like, I want to be them.
Yeah, don't do that.
But worse. Like, no.
No.
Don't do that at all.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, it's good to, like, have things that you like to do. It's good to like some TV shows. Like, but don't be so obsessed with it to the fact that you kill somebody over it.
Yeah.
But I also think, in a way, that Mark Twitchell would have done this either way. Just like Michael C. Hall said, he would have done this either way.
Yeah.
Because even if he didn't find the show Dexter or didn't watch the show Dexter, he still would have killed somebody.
He still had problems. He still would have had the same fantasies he always had, so it still probably would have ended up the same.
Yeah, so
he probably still would end up killing people, no matter what.
I think so. I think he would have. But yeah, so that was that one, and it was really long, and I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So yeah, end of that. So if you want to see, let me show you a picture of Mark.
End of that craziness.
Show you a picture because I have so many things open regarding this case. So, here's his garage. Yeah. Then here is him. There was a picture of him somewhere. And that's a picture of him. He looks scary.
He looks creepy as heck.
He looks scary.
Why does he look like Freddy from iCarly if he had mental problems?
Oh my god, he does! He does! Because he's behind the camera and everything.
Oh my god.
Mark Twitchell is the sinister version of Freddy from iCarly.
Yeah, yep. The demon version.
Oh my gosh.
That's terrifying.
He is terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm also like just reading this. This article says in SK Confessions he wrote that though the crimes were not a copycat of the style of Dexter Morgan, he still want to pay homage to the character.
We just pay my respects to Dexter.
And then he also added, there is no root cause, no school bully or impressionable glory, movies or video games or violence, or a Showtime television series point out the finger at. It is what it is, and I am what I am.
Yeah, we know you are what you are.
Yeah. So even he said this is not.
We know what you are, buddy. Not buddy, you're not our buddy. We don't like you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was about Mark Twitchell, the person who was inspired by the TV show Dexter. And if you want to see pictures of everything like to do with this case, you can go to our social medias at Dreadfully Twisted Podcast at I just completely got distracted. Oh, if you want to go to our social medias to see pictures and stuff, go to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dreadfully Twisted Podcast. If you want to share with your family and friends, you can listen on Amazon Music, Spotify, Pandora Radio, iHeartRadio, Listen Notes, YouTube, Apple Podcasts now, Samsung Podcasts, Podcast Index, and everywhere else you can listen pretty much.
Yeah.
My brain's turning into mush at this point.
Anywhere you get your podcasts, we are.
Yeah, and if you can like them, download them, share them, rate them, comment on our Spotify, like what you thought about the episode, that'd be great. It gives us some feedback and it helps us stay relevant in the charts. Please share with your family and friends, and
be a good person.
Don't be like Mark Twitchell.
Yeah, or like any of these terrible people that we cover.
Yep.
So yeah.
And spread positivity.
Be a good person.
Be there for your friends. Be a good person.
Yes.
Just can't stress that enough. And we will see you guys next week.
We love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.